Okay, it's officially recording. All participants are muted as they enter, and I took off our waiting room, so you shouldn't have to monitor anything except for the chat.
I, I'm gonna put like a thing here.
Bradley.
Siphon. What?
Mine is showing more than it was before. Did this move at all? It's showing more of the room than I wanted to. I'm gonna scoot forward just a little bit. Grab your bag. Okay. But I just don't, whoever sits in these first seats, I don't want there to be distracting. So clear.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I'm like,
So I'm
Are you ready to take pictures? We're gonna take a photo of the panelists and the moderator before it starts. So in like 2 minutes. Yeah. Bradley,
We're gonna go ahead and get started in about 5 minutes, give you a little extra time for people coming in, make sure you get them here. If you have not swiped in, we have a target over here, so if you would go outside the door on this end and swipe in, that'd be great. Again, grab some food, get settled, and we're gonna get started in about 5 minutes.
It's a party. Okay.
That's what I put in the plan.
Okay. We're recording.
Started.
If you wouldn't mind grabbing a seat, you are welcome to grab some food. If you did not get the catering in the trays, feel free to grab a Panera. Otherwise, wait on seconds until everyone has gotten some. And if you have not yet swiped in, please come over and swipe in so that we can accurately track the success of this awesome event. All right. Hi, guys. I'm so excited to see all these familiar faces.
I am really excited to be a part of this Black Student Athlete panel. I think this is a really good opportunity for our athletes to just express what their experience has been like. If you do not know me, my name is Jack A. Hill. I am one of the assistant athletic trainers here at WashU. I work with but I'm just really excited. So to start, we're gonna go through and we're gonna introduce the panel. You guys are gonna give your name, your year, what sport you're playing, and then your why WashU.
Okay, so I'm Bradley Hamilton. I'm a senior on the football team, and my why WashU would definitely be the people. The people here are more than I could have hoped for in a university, and more so a community throughout these 4 years.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Brooks, and I'm a junior on the women's basketball team. And my WashU is just for opportunities, the chance to compete at a high level, get a great education, and make a whole bunch of great friends.
How you guys doing? I'm Chidera Okolo. I'm a junior on the men's basketball team. And my why WashU would just have to do with the opportunities and just giving me the chance to play ball after only playing for a short amount of time in high school, just giving me a chance to progress as a person and soon to be a man.
Hi, my name is Jasmine. I'm a sophomore on the volleyball team. And I chose WashU because I wanted a chance to win a national championship and also be able to prioritize studying and getting in the classroom.
Okay, so we're gonna get started. We're gonna ask a series of questions. We will have time for questions at the end. So our first question is gonna be, what does a typical week look and feel like for you as a student athlete? We're gonna start with Chidera.
Okay, so I'll just talk about pretty much the present. So we're in the season. Most days start mostly, I would say free time, but time to go to class and get my work done. And towards the evening, once it hits around 4, AC until maybe 8, we'll lift, practice, watch film, get shots up. Then towards the end of the week, the weekend, we'll have a game on Friday. We'll rest a little bit Saturday. Then Sunday we'll have another game. The one and the same. So right now it's a little hectic just with the weekends not really being available to us. But for the most part, it's just great to be with my brothers and whatnot. And yeah, I'll let Jasmine.
Yeah, so right now we're actually in our spring season. We're lifting 3 times a week in the morning, thankfully. And then we have pick up a couple of times a week, which is kind of us just on our own, getting some extra reps when we're not either lifting or playing volleyball. We're in the classroom. We eat a lot of the time together after a lift in probably the Village of the Duck. And yeah, we're studying.
All good answers. Okay, our next question is, who is the first Black athlete you saw and how did they inspire you? We're gonna start with Brad.
Yes, so the first Black athlete that I saw when I came to campus, and I actually had heard of him prior to coming to campus, was Andrew Whitaker. I know a lot of the track people know Andrew, obviously, but for football, being a football player, second year of just kind of playing football in general, because I had only played 1 year in high school. I was very nervous coming in, not only as an athlete, but also as a student, and Whit took me under his wing. He was really a really good big brother to me for the whole time that he was here, and even while he's graduated now, still reaches out to me and makes sure that I'm keeping up the legacy.
So for me, the first Black athlete I saw was Sam Weaver. She was a senior last year on the women's basketball team. I actually met her before I came to WashU, and she's just a really calming presence, the type of person that's just a big sister to you, has your back, whether or not we were best friends, teammates, or you just saw her in passing, she's the type of person that you wanted to be around.
Okay, next question. What skills have you gained from being a student athlete? Go ahead, Jessica.
I definitely learned a lot of time management, whether it be practice, meals, travel, film sessions, whatever it is. But I've also learned a lot about just kind of being myself and finding my own way within my sport and within the classroom here at WashU. I think that's a big lesson that we all have to learn, and college is a good time to grow and learn about yourself. But being a student athlete, you have to grow up kind of quick here, and I think WashU does a great job of supporting us through that.
Yeah, a lot of what I have to just say about what Jessica just said is just the time management, more so the balance of being able to do all these different facets of your life, just the social aspect, the athletic aspect, the academic aspect. I feel like, especially as a first year, it was kind of, I mean, it's a new process, and so it was fairly difficult for me in the beginning to kind of get a hold of it. But as time goes on and you get to, learn from the older people on your teams, kind of figure out like how do they manage all this stuff. I think it was very important for me, like pretty much learning how to grow and develop here.
When you were a kid, were there any people of color in leadership positions that you looked up to and why? We're going to start with Chidera.
One thing I just really remember, 2008 when Barack Obama was elected as president, just being able to see an African-American president, it showed me that also a man of African descent, it showed me that anything is possible for pretty much anybody. And there are no limits to what you can do. And then the second, although not really in a huge leadership position, I'll just say my dad, Chibuzo Okolo, just seeing him come from Nigeria here and find a way. It's really always been inspiring. He's always been my number one inspiration and motivation. And really just the backbone to everything I do, honestly. He's always supporting me, and I just see him strive.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm from Portland, Oregon, and one thing about Portland is it's not very diverse. Especially in my neighborhood growing up, there weren't very many Black families, and there definitely weren't very many Black educators. And so one thing that I really remember is that even though it was only for a short period of time, we had a Black principal. And I remember seeing her and thinking, I think I was in third grade, and being like, this is possible. Like, look at this. She's a Black woman of authority. And she ended up moving on after not very long to go create curriculum. But even in that short period of time, I thought that that was something that like always stuck with me. And we had a bunch of principals over that period of time that I was in elementary school. And I don't think I remembered a single other one of them. So that was something that always stuck with me.
What made you fall in love with your current sport? We're going to go to Bradley.
I would say that what caused me to fall in love with my sport, football, would definitely be my teammates. So especially this past season, playing alongside Matthew Schmall and Kieran Conjar, you just build such a tight connection because these are the guys that, in football sense, you're going to war with. And so for me, it's just you have to have trust in these people, know that they have your best interest in mind. And so having that this past season just absolutely made me fall in love with my sport, and just knowing that you can just have so much fun with these people that you just practice with every day.
For me, basically, just the fact that basketball is a game of mistakes. There's always a next play. Like you turn it over on offense, you're back on defense to get it right back. And I think just kind of having that cushion of being able to get back on defense or get onto offense really makes me love the game of basketball, as well as how much it's been developing, and how much more people are watching women's basketball, as well as like Bradley was saying, my teammates. It's always hard to do basketball or play sports, but when you have a group of girls like my team, shout out to you guys, thanks for coming. It makes it a heck of a lot better and a really great opportunity.
Nicely said, Jeff. Okay, next question. What do you believe is the greatest challenge Black student athletes are facing today? We're going to start with Jackson.
Yeah, big question. I don't think the problems that Black athletes are facing are distinct from the problems that Black people face. At the end of the day, you eventually will leave your sport. Things that are specific to being an athlete, I think because sometimes you're coming together with people that you wouldn't, who have very different experiences with you. There is sometimes an expectation that you're going to educate people, or you're going to lead discussions, especially on race, when it should be a voluntary, like, I want to hear from you, I want to give you some insight, or I want to share my perspective, and have it be an exchange of, oh, you share your perspective with me as well. And I think something that's unique, because it's people coming together from a lot of different backgrounds, is that the expectation of, oh, we're gonna have you lead this discussion, you're gonna step in and you're gonna do something about a problem. And I think that's something that's unique to Black athletes.
Yeah, and just kind of building off of what Jess just said, I'll just say one thing, not just Black student athletes, but Black athletes in general face microaggressions, something that's just very still present here in 2023. I'm not really going to get really specific about it, but it's just something that I feel like we all face. We're all aware of them. We try to call them out when we can. But at the end of the day, it's something that I believe that we all can work together to stop and make Black athletes feel more comfortable in environments where they're a minority.
What is the biggest lesson you've learned in your time as a student athlete? Bradley, we're going to start with you.
The biggest lesson that I've learned as a student, I think I would have to say to enjoy the things that I'm doing and find that joy in the things that I'm doing. Because especially during the off season, it can be very difficult, when you're, lifting with TO, and for football, we're doing a lot of heavy lifting. And so it's just like the wear on your body, everything. I think that just finding the joy in those moments where you're surrounded by your teammates, when it's, in the season, finding that joy just in life in general, being able to find the joy and even when moments are very difficult for yourself, to be able to find that thing that is still the light at the end of the tunnel. What is the reason for this? Is this difficult situation going to allow me to grow and become, a stronger person? I think that's very important.
For me, the biggest lesson I've learned is that if I wasn't ready, I wouldn't have the opportunity. This translates, to school, a final, a big game, the worst shooting night, whatever it is. Last Sunday we played NYU and we lost by 3, but I found myself to be a little nervous before the game, and I reminded myself that if I wasn't ready, if our team wasn't ready, and if our program wasn't ready to play on big games on big stages, then we wouldn't have the opportunity. And even though we didn't come out on top, it's nice to know that we do have this opportunity to play and bounce back, and we're not done yet.
How do you practice being resilient in life and in sport? We're going to start with Shadira.
One thing I've recently been trying to do is just trying to find the good in bad situations. A lot of times, especially us student athletes at such a prestigious school, we tend to beat ourselves up when things aren't going our way, especially when we're used to things, mostly going in a positive direction. But trying to just think positive and just being where your feet are, being in the now and trying to attack the day. I feel like that's one of the things that, as I've been growing and becoming a man, I've really dialed in on, and I think it's really starting to help.
One thing that I've learned about myself is that I'm a verbal processor. My roommate will attest to this. She's in the back over there. But I will talk an issue to death. And that helps me process. And then from there, I always just make a plan. And for me, it's getting something down on paper, love a checklist, even if it's just like text someone about a conversation you need to have, or it's get one thing done. I like having fewer big things than a lot of little things. And then the one thing I do is I tell myself, just start. If you can't do it today, you're making it a little bit easier for tomorrow. And so that's something that I try to adapt is just start somewhere.
I'm with you, Jazz. I got a lot of checklists on the training room. Okay. What's the biggest piece of advice you've gained from your coaches? And we start with Jessica.
So the biggest piece of advice that I've gained from my coach, Coach Henderson, is to care, but not that much. And that might be a little harsh, but at the end of the day, we play a sport. We get to play a game with some of our best friends. And, if you take it too seriously, you lose the joy, you lose the fun, you lose all of the hard work that you put into it. And so I think just remembering that it's not that serious at the end of the day, care about your teammates, care about the outcome, but just don't care too much.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. My word was relax. Just kind of being able to kind of not take yourself too seriously. I think there's a certain point where you can kind of lose focus by trying to get too into things. So for me, just being able to relax, understand, like I said earlier, being able to trust my teammates, the guys that are around me, and just know that we practice for this, everything will go swimmingly, based on that practice, so.
Who is someone at WashU that inspires you and why? We're gonna start with Shadira.
For this question, I'd have to say two. I'd say D'Angelo Solomon and Anthony Azuma. These two men, they were former student athletes at prestigious colleges, and so at PWIs also, so they can really kind of relate to me. And with D'Angelo, he's only been here for almost a year, and the amount of resources that he has shown that are available to me, and I've been here for almost 3 years. It just shows how locked in he is into his job and how much he really cares and is intentional. And then with Azuma, I would just say, for someone who's an AD, the amount of times we just sat down and had a one-on-one and not brought up sports once, just had two conversations as two Black men. It really shows how much he cares of me as a person, not just as an athlete here. So for me, that's been really pivotal, and it just shows how much these men how much they care about their job.
Yes, I'm gonna give a shout out to Jack A right over there. For similar reasons, our team is very reliant on Jack A. Personally, I'm always in there. And we also have discussions that have nothing to do with sports. And I think it's really nice to be able to go in, even if you're receiving somewhat bad news or you're battling through an injury. She's always a bright of sunshine. And I think that something that's really special is that I've seen her interact with a lot of athletes, and she always finds a way to build a connection with all of the athletes while also handling 4 things at once. So that's something I look up to.
Gotta be a really good multitasker. Thanks, Deb. Okay, from your point of view, how do you feel sport is a bridge between community and social justice? So we can start with Deb.
Yes, I think that the beauty of community is that once you're community with people, you care about what they're going through and their problems become your problem. And so I think that by building community across sports, within teams, it allows for there to be for you guys to be united and to all kind of back each other. If one person's going through something, everyone's going through it. And I think that's something that helps with community.
Building off what Jazz said, I believe sports, especially here in America, is one of the bigger forms of entertainment. So a lot of times teams and different organizations are able to use that platform to educate and to put different things on, I wouldn't say on blast, but on a platform where everybody can see, everybody can know, and just know what's going on. Because most times people they just don't know, or maybe they're uninterested, but it kind of forces them a little bit to at least hear or just learn about different issues and how they affect people. I feel like that's one big thing sports has been able to do, and it's done that for me also.
Yeah, just to echo both of them, we wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for the link of sports and then also social justice. So being able to have these kinds of events where you can hear the experience of people that maybe don't have the same experience, don't look like you, don't play the same sports as you, I think it's very powerful. Sports provides that.
I agree with what everyone else has said, as well as just that sports are kind of neutral. It's a playing field, court, pool, whatever it is, that we all can kind of come together for one goal. And I think athletes using their platforms and using that playing field to, make a change or bring awareness to their communities or how something impacts someone who's different from them is really helpful and something that I think we can use to bridge the gap.
So that's all the questions we have. I just have to say, it takes a lot for you guys to get up here and speak in front of fellow athletes and in front of everybody else and talk about your experience. So thank you for doing that. I believe we're going to open the floor for questions. If anybody has questions. Not everybody at once. Christina.
I was wondering if any of you guys have like experienced backlash at home.
I asked if, they've ever received backlash for attending a BWI and not HBCU. The funny thing for me is I actually WashU is a lot more diverse than the school that I came to or came from. So I personally did not receive like backlash from people within my like schooling. I think that it is kind of like a topic conversation when you have like when you're in another community and you're talking about where you're going to school and things like that. And there's a little tension there sometimes. But I didn't receive it from like people that I went to school with per se.
Yeah, so I'm from St. Louis, and I would say that a lot of the people in St. Louis, that know WashU have a very high regard and respect for it. So in terms of like going back home and just kind of talking about my experience, I feel like a lot of it is positive feedback more so because they understand that WashU has a lot of resources. It's like more so like they're proud to see someone that's achieving like this kind of goal. So I don't really think that I have a lot of backlash in terms of that.
Yeah, building off what Bradley just said, yeah, most people who I've talked to back home, they have more of a positive response. They're proud to see an African American going to such a prestigious school, especially a school that can help me pursue the medical field that I hope to go to. So most of the feedback I've gotten has been positive, so not much backlash.
Any other questions?
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm from the track team. My question is, when there's particularly events in the news, national events, or just even local St. Louis events that impact the Black community specifically, whether it's like a tragedy, something unjust, how are ways that your teammates can respond to those situations, or your peers can respond in a way that's like considerate of what you're kind of experiencing, but also supportive and not, interfering with your process?
It's a great question. I would say just support me, for me personally, educate yourself, learn about it, figure out what happened, see what you can do, and then be there for me, be there for your other team members, other people in the community, not just, your friends, just anyone who it might have affected, and just keep learning.
Yeah, I would just say, from my perspective, to make sure, just said it, keep an open mind and just make sure you understand the situation fully. Don't, become a keyboard warrior or something like that. And then just saying whatever, oh, blah, 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 blah. This is what I think about it. I think it's very easy to have opinions about a lot of events that are in the news, but I think it's more supportive for us when you are less about your opinion and you just kind of look to see how we're responding to it and, comfort us and support us in those ways.
I just want to comment on that too. I just think the big part of that is being open to listening and being open to understanding, because you do not know how somebody is going to react to something. And I think a lot of times when you approach a situation like that, the outcome is so much better and you end up learning something that you didn't already know. And I think that's a great opportunity to help you grow as a person, but just be a better person. Any other questions?
piggybacking off of that, can you talk a little bit about what active allyship looks like for you? Like you talk a lot about performative allyship and then active allyship and what you want to see even outside of kind of trying to figure out from your teammates, your colleagues, your classmates. You want to see from them and say, yes, we're putting the time, for and furthering things that I believe in.
I say from my perspective, it comes down to just personal connection, like beyond race. If you care about me as just another human being, like you'll make the effort to understand the values that I have, and you'll recognize those within me to be able to just be my friend. Less about I think it has less to do with race and more to do with just being a comforting human being in situations and just being in regular times.
And I'd just like to build on that. I feel like that's one thing a lot of my teammates really exceed in. A lot of times they go out of their way to build a connection and to understand just about a different culture. It doesn't necessarily have to just be African American culture, but they're very open-minded and they're always ready to learn and ready to listen instead of just putting their opinion forward. So that's one thing I really love and respect about my teammates. Shout out to you guys.
I think also with like consistency, having conversations with I've had conversations with people one-on-one about things that we're in agreement or we'll just have mutual understanding. And then we'll be in a group discussion and someone might say something that doesn't necessarily fit well with me, but then that person that I was just talking to doesn't say anything. And sometimes the truth is that having hard conversations can take a toll. I've had lots of conversations that leave me really upset, but that the person I'm talking to, they might never think of that conversation again. And so in terms of being an ally, it's also realizing that you might be able to say something that might resonate differently with someone in a way that doesn't necessarily affect you moving forward. And so also taking that on sometimes in a respectful way, not necessarily fight with anyone, but just understanding that sometimes that conversation that you could have with someone is going to be easier for you to have than for someone else to have.
Any other questions?
She pointed to you.
So would you guys say in living your day-to-day lives, do you ever feel hyper aware of the moves you make and how they might affect others and how other people might see Black people, Black athletes?
I would just say personally that I try to put my best foot forward every day when I wake up. I understand that everything at the end of the day is going to be a reflection of myself. And so I think it's very important for me personally that everything I do is living up to my own standards and who I want to be. And also, obviously, I recognize that how I act can affect how other people view, other people that look like me. So I would say I'm mindful of that, but at the end of the day, it comes from a place of me wanting to put my best foot forward.
Yeah, and pretty much just building off of that. One thing my parents have always just taught me is to just try to be the best person you can be and try to be yourself. So sometimes, I guess if you're looking at stereotypes, that can lead along the Black stereotype, but sometimes it doesn't. And in both cases, sometimes you're looked at or judged differently. Sometimes people can call you like an Uncle Tom or something like that, or sometimes people can say you're acting, hood or whatnot. But at the end of the day, I just try to be myself, and usually that's putting my best foot forward and trying to, as Beham said, having the best reflection shown of myself. So that's just how I try to look at it.
And then just kind of to add off of that, I think for me, being aware is in the classroom, I'll look around and be the only Black woman, Black person in there. And you kind of think to yourself oh, do I belong here? Am I supposed to be here? But you just kind of remember that you are here for a reason, more than just an athlete, more than just a student, but just as a human, you know, existing in this place. And I think it's important to just be aware of that and be aware that, like what everyone else was saying, that to be your best self and do what you can to help others.
Summer, did you have a question back there?
I do it all, but Coach plays on. So you all have some experience at, you know, here, whether it be a year, a couple years, or more than a couple years. But what we ask a lot of our student athletes when they've had some experiences, what advice would you give your younger self or some of the younger folks in the group? What advice would you give to navigate watching, navigate the process, and just kind of enjoy the experience?
One piece of advice I would say is to reach out to people not on your team, you know, other student athletes, admin, make friends with people who you don't see every day, just because there's a lot of people here that we don't always get to meet, just because there's so many of us and so many moving parts to being here and being an athlete. And I think introducing yourself, saying hi, kind of makes you feel seen, makes you feel a little bit less of like the little fish in a big pond, because I think it can get a little bit lonely sometimes.
I would say to my younger self to just use the resources at WashU. WashU has a lot of money. And so, no, seriously, I just think that if you really, you know, like go through, scour the websites and just find all the things that you can just get for free here and just use, I mean, the mental health resources, like there's so many different things you can like just have access to through WashU, the licensings that we have. So I think just taking advantage of all those different things, ask around, you know, ask administration. If they don't know, they're sure to point you in the right direction. So I think that's the biggest thing I would tell myself. I would just come.
I would just say to my freshman self, you know, just learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. A lot of times, you know, when you're in those situations, at least me personally, those are the situations where afterwards I realized that I've learned the most, and those experiences usually tend to linger or last longer. The connections I usually make in those situations, they end up being more impactful, and I feel like it helps you to grow as a person, honestly. And a lot of times, you know, especially as college students, we like not to put ourselves in situations, especially at WashU with all of the load on our plates, we like not to get out of bounds or whatnot. But a lot of times, those are the times where you can really learn the most. So that's something I've really tried to embrace.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that. I had a coach that was what he would say every single practice for like 3 months at the beginning of every season. You get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's where you actually grow and improve. In terms of the question, I think that one thing I would say is to make sure you have people in your corner who, kind of like what Jess said, are not on your team, just because you need that other support system and that other group of people that you can come to. And also understanding that not everything is about your sport. Like your sport is a big component, but you're a person first and you have other things you have to do as well. So not to get completely consumed with what's going on in your sport.
Any other questions? These are all very good questions, by the way. Oh, Coach Walby, you got the floor.
How big was diversity in the school in general, and the concept of student sport, and like Shepherd that provide. I know last said that people like like me on the roster, I'm more excited to go to that type of school. So I didn't know if that played a big role in your process or just the university campus in general.
Yeah, for me, I think diversity did play some role choosing WashU, just because I was told myself, you can't go somewhere that has less diversity than where you came from. And I think when I visited WashU and I did my camp, The thing that I didn't really realize, but that did impact me, is that the people I hung out with were other like young Black women, and we had so much fun together. And I don't think that I realized how much it actually impacted me feeling like comfortable, because there is some truth to like a little bit of comfort level, especially when you're just meeting people that you feel like they have some shared experience with you, and that there's kind of a shared understanding to an extent. And so I think that that did help me feel comfortable at the camp, and I do think that probably impacted how I viewed WashU in general. I'm not sure I really paid much attention like beyond that initial camp, but it did impact how I felt when I was at the camp.
For me personally, just looking at WashU in general, it was definitely comforting to see the amount of individuals of African descent and fellow Nigerians. It was just nice to know that I'd be going to a place where people would be present who had similar childhoods and experiences that I have. That's just something that really kind of made me more comfortable and made this place feel a little bit more like at home. It allowed me to build a lot of connections and relationships with people. And it was just something that I've really enjoyed so far. And not just Nigerian people, honestly, just people of different cultures, just everyone in general. I've been able to learn a lot also. So just seeing how WashU is open to, accepting people from all around the world, international students and whatnot, it's definitely a great thing.
I would say that from my perspective, it had less to do during the recruitment process and more so after already accepting admission. After accepting admission here, I was immediately connected with an upperclassman that was on the football team, Emmanuel Ibrahim. And having that where it wasn't just a recruiting, like, oh, like this is what we offer, this is what we offer, and then you get here or it's you accepted it, and all of a sudden it seems like that whole initiative is gone. I think it was good to see the continuation through not only recruiting, but also once accepting and then connecting with people that look like me on the team, getting to know them prior to coming here, especially upperclassmen, because you know they're going to be the leaders on the team. So you're not feeling alienated when you come in, like for football, at least, we come in for fall camp before everybody's here. So just kind of having like those brothers, those people that you can look to on campus when you first show up on the first day of school and not be so nervous.
Any other questions? In the way back, hold on, JP.
Might say or do or that there's you might predict that would be received poorly, even though all was met well, and then ways to recognize that is such a learning.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think the number one thing would be when someone brings up something that might have been an issue to you, to accept that fully and recognize that it's just something that you shouldn't repeat, I think, especially when it comes down to something that may have connotations elsewhere. I think it's very important that if it's brought up to you, that you recognize it and then you just accept it. Or more so to have a dialogue with that person about it. Like, if the person seems open to it, that what might have been the part that offended you to, we talked about educating people earlier. I think that personal connection, to be able to have that personal dialogue, is very important to, be able to recognize those things, and maybe that person can go out and educate beyond that.
JC, did you have a question?
Yeah, my question is, I know a lot of reasons why all beyond that, I kind of want to.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
I know part of the reason why we're all here is to get a good education as well as compete on a high level, but I would kind of want to ask, beyond that, what drives you to sort of be the best version of yourself? Like, what is the thing that you keeps you going?
I would have to say my younger brother. He's actually right there in the blue red. But very seriously, I mean, as a big brother, I know that, or I hope that he looks to me as a role model. And so what drives me more so is knowing that what I do is not only going to affect my future, but it also affect his future. Being able to learn from my experiences and share those with him. So if I'm constantly moving with intentionality, as Jadera has mentioned, then I know that I can be able to recognize those areas where maybe I struggle and he won't have to struggle. So yeah, big driving force.
I'd say one thing, I know I already mentioned, my dad and the big influence he's had on my life, but kind of connecting that with this response. I think about my future, not just children, but just the future generations that will come after me. I always think that I want to put them I want to make sure that they have the same or better opportunities that I've been granted. So that's one thing that really resonates in my head, because I know how hard both of my immigrant parents worked to get here. And it would be a shame for that to stop. So I just think about how I can put myself in a position to let this be a continual thing, and for the rest of the generations that come after me, for them to have better opportunities that I have.
Yeah, I think one component, small component, is I'm really competitive. So everything I always want to do better, get a little bit better, everything I do. I think beyond that, I'm a political science major, and so we're always talking issues to death. And I think that sometimes you actually need to start doing things and like making changes. And I think that something that drives me is the potential to be part of the change. That sounds really cheesy because everyone gets up and says something. But I think that like promise of like making improvements in the future and like being part of that is something that kind of drives me to always push myself, and also to recognize all the opportunities that I had and like capitalize on them, because it's not what everyone gets. And I'm very grateful and fortunate, and I understand that. And I think that that also drives me to kind of push myself as far as I can.
Yeah, similarly to what Jasmine said, just like the fact that we have this opportunity, not everyone gets to play their sport in college at a high level. And I think just taking full advantage of that opportunity is kind of why I keep going every day, why I don't let the bad days be too bad, and really kind of ride the highs a little bit higher.
I just want to add, I think a big part of that is you never know who's watching you, and you're always a role model. Like you're always setting the stage, setting the tone for somebody who's either younger than you. And I think a lot of things that these athletes have pointed out is when they came here, they saw somebody before them and they looked up to them and they had a great experience with them. So I think taking that into account and realizing the position that you're in and just the fact that it's going to affect somebody, you just don't know who. Any other questions?
Sean from football. Speaking of role models, I love the opportunity to get in here and listen to fellow Black student athletes who are leaders and role models for their teams and for WashU. And so I guess my question is, what experience or moment did you have that made you come to that realization or kind of gain your confidence that you're a leader and a role model at WashU and in the greater community outside of WashU?
Pretty recently, we had a home game and an entire team of second graders came to watch, and they were all asking for our autographs. And we're just super excited that, you know, we broke down the huddle with them. We wrote little notes on the program for them. And I think just like that moment kind of made me realize that, oh yeah, there is a younger generation after me, after my teammates, who is looking up to us, who wants to be like us. And I think that that just is like really telling of kind of like the role that we play here at WashU, you know, in the community of St. Louis, what we can do, you know, for everyone around here, and as well as on the bigger stage.
For me, I would say, you know, as a first year, moving on up, I was always the one asking questions of the older people, whether it's the coaches, my fellow teammates. And then there came the day where all of a sudden people started asking me questions. So like, hey, Behan, what class should I take? I'm like, what? And so I think that was a big turning point for me, recognizing that people are going to start, asking me about my experience, and I have to be able to be ready to share that, understand what my experience is. And so I took those moments and I'm like, you know what, I gotta be ready for this. And so I think that was the biggest turning point.
Yeah, pretty much just the same as what Bradley just said. This year, especially with my 3 freshmen coming in, I found myself about being asked questions or, hey, C, can you help me with the quiz? Or, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times I was kind of like, a lot of times I'm just thinking to myself, like, why are you asking me? And, like, I know I'm a smart guy, but like, ask someone else. But I realized that because but I realized that because I'm in a certain position and I'm in a position where I can lead and set an example, and I just really try to embrace that role. And I found myself honestly learning a lot too.
Yeah, I believe that also. I think even when I got an email asking about the panel, I was like, I wonder why they're asking me to do the panel. And so I think that it's like other people always asking you questions that helps you like realize like, oh, you should know the answer. And I think also for me, when I started coaching volleyball to like 11 to 13-year-olds over the last couple of summers, it's realizing, oh, I have a lot of like experience up here, and that there's things that I know that they don't know yet. And I think that also helped push me to share my experiences and to also like understand that it's a cycle of people in college for ages.
Anybody else?
So you guys kind of mentioned the idea of like the opportunities here, whether it be like trying to provide like, some opportunities or greater opportunities for people in the future. For people who look like these, like the second graders who come to your game. How do you deal with so much pressure from that?
I have the understanding that pressure makes diamonds. I'm trying to be a diamond. So I know, like, I mean, it generally can be recognizing how much of a role model I have to be in, and the position I'm in. But I think being able to, again, talking to people that are older than me, my mentors, and kind of getting their perspective, and just knowing that I have what it takes. I think it really just comes from within for me. Growing up, my parents, they always believed in me. My teachers believed in me. And so if all these people that are outside me believe in me, I think it makes sense for me to believe in myself.
I also think something for me is to remember that we're on a team. We share collectively and we're all together. But I think that's something that helps me to like step back and realize that you're supporting each other in this exchange. That sometimes you might have other things going on, other people on your team also have other things going on, and just to always be there. So I think that you work towards people.
I'm gonna come back to my younger brother. Recently, but yeah, no, my younger brother, like, I mean, I watched him play like every sport known to man since we were young. I mean, high school, lacrosse, volleyball, basketball, football, middle school soccer, like just pretty much anything, man, badminton. And so, and yeah, like, he's like a switch on everything. But seeing someone that was just so good at so many different things was just so cool. And I was just kind of, I mean, also as a big brother, I'm like, I can't let him be this good and stuff. So, I mean, I think for me, it really did push me to be better at everything. He's a stud.
To kind of flip it, I'm the younger sister, so I look up to my big sister. She's 2 years older than me. She's not playing in college, but she's in the real world doing her thing. But you know, just kind of wanting to be like her. She was always a little faster, a little stronger, a little better at everything. And it's tough to always be second, but I think, you know, it kind of made me work harder, made me want to be first, and I never was, because she always found a way to win. But I think that's humbling, and I think it's something that kind of made me who I am today.
There was someone who was, I think she's 4 years older, she might be graduated by now. But I remember either my 8th grade or freshman year going to the state championship for volleyball. And there was this girl named Chloe Brown. And I just remember seeing her and I was like, I want to be her. I want to, like, she was 5'10", so for volleyball standards, that's technically short, jumped out of the gym. And I just remember walking away and thinking, I'm gonna be that good. I mean, she was insane, but
You're there, Jazz. You're definitely
yeah,
there.
if I had another foot on my bird, I could be there. But I just remember working towards that and like I want that feeling of being in the state championship. Didn't quite get there either, but we had a couple more years of volleyball, so maybe a national championship. But I just remember walking away being like, I'm gonna work until I'm that good.
Growing up, honestly, I just looked up to Michael Jordan. MJ just had that dog in him. A lot of you guys know. You've seen The Last Dance. I mean, hey, and a lot of times my teammates they kind of get on me for beating myself up and getting too upset with myself. And honestly, that's probably because of him. That's his fault. But I just love to see somebody who is always down to compete, always wanted to win. That's something I really try to embody, and to just spread that type of energy around. And I feel like a lot of guys on my team have that type of dog in them. And honestly, you guys are gonna see that this weekend.
Girls are playing too, don't forget that.
Anybody else really quick? Don't be scared. You can always have a safe space.
Hi, I'm Walker from men's swimming. What has been like your favorite moment of celebration with your respective team at WashU?
We beat NYU at home this January, #1 team in the country. Yeah, great win. We all rushed the court. It was just great, you know, big hugs, big smiles, coach smiling, you know. Yeah, best celebration moment.
Favorite moment of celebration?
I remember when we beat Illinois Wesleyan. That was a pretty big non-conference rival. A lot of talk was going around. Not gonna get into any names, but a lot of talk was going around, and a lot of people didn't think we would be able to win that game. Didn't think we had the talent. Since we lost Jack Nolan, a lot of things were gonna go downhill, and we really proved them wrong. And afterwards, you just see my coach just come in with that swag and that vibe. It was nice to see him out of his usual character, and it was fun. We all really enjoyed it, had a great time on the bus ride home, and it's something that we hope to keep on doing.
Yeah, my favorite moment of celebration was not necessarily after a win, it was celebrating our team because we went on a team trip. And so that was something we were really lucky to be able to do that a lot of teams can't do. So yeah, we celebrated, we hung out with Jackie and Alicia, and so it was really fun time.
I love all the moments with my teams, basketball, tennis, everybody else that I've worked with, football, men's basketball. Volleyball, sorry. Everybody.
I don't know about one exact moment, but for football, I'd say every time one of our guys like scores a touchdown. I mean, that's like one of the most exhilarating experiences, especially as a defensive player, knowing that what I did out there wasn't for nothing. Is like, I mean, it's like really nice. It's very rewarding. Especially when it's, I mean, my younger brother, Fred, they just run in the end zone and they have all that energy, and I'm just helping them puff on the sideline with Jonathan and Sean. I think it's a very rewarding to see these guys doing it.
Last call. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Ally.
And for our panelists that are watching. I'm gonna announce the winners of our raffle. If I call your name and you have won a raffle before, let me know because I have backup people. So first we have Sammy Matouche, Joshua Johnson, Jess Freeman. I'm gonna butcher some names, I apologize. Kyle Coates and Hayden Doyle. So if I call your name, you can meet me over here and grab your sweatshirt.
Okay, so. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Ariel Williams. I'm the Training and Education Specialist in Center for Diversity and Inclusion. I want to say thank you to our panelists and to our moderator. I just want to say that this event is a brainchild of myself and Michelle Detweiler, and although she's not here tonight or at the institution anymore, unfortunately, I do just want to shout her out for getting this rolling for us and making sure that we are ready to go for tonight. I do just want to make sure that we continue this event. This is our second annual Black Student Athlete Panel, and so I'm hoping that this continues for a third time. So for the folks in the room that can make that happen, yeah, okay. Additionally, I just want to make sure also that I shout out Blue Black and Watch Athletics for this collaboration. This was really great. We worked really hard preparing this for you all tonight, and also thank you for the food. I hope everyone enjoys the food, yeah. And so we want to continue to do events like this, and so I just want to say also for attendance purposes, thank you for everyone for checking in at the front. If you have not, there are QR codes around the room. You can also check out on your way out. There's also an assessment that we need you all to fill out. That QR code is in multiple places. My student workers are going to grab another option of it for you all to scan, but please make sure you scan that. I'll also make sure that's emailed out to you. We do need to get your feedback around our events. And then lastly, I just want to shout out two things that are coming up. So we do have the Blackout doubleheader basketball game this Friday. Y'all are gonna be in the place. So okay, I'm like, where's the excitement? Don't forget to wear black. It will be a great opportunity. We're gonna have Black Student Org on showcase at the entryways, and then we will have MPHC fraternities and sororities performing during the halftime shows. The sororities will perform during the women's game, and the fraternities will perform during the men's game. So that's going to be a great night. And then I also want to invite you all out to our second annual Peace Walk and Black Owned Food Truck Block Party next Wednesday. It's a mouthful. Next Wednesday, the walk starts at 4 o'clock. The block party starts at 5 o'clock. We have 30 vendors confirmed. We have a DJ, we have performances, and we have 3 food trucks. Okay, this is a big event. Last year we had 400 attendees. I'm trying to double that this year. No, not really. No. We don't need 800 people here, but I do want to make sure that you all come out and enjoy those events. So please continue to share that on social media. Invite your people. It's open to the public. So we can't wait to have you all there. So thank you on behalf of the CDI, Watch Athletics, and Blue Black for coming out tonight.
Lastly, we have a food drive going on right now to the end of the month. Each different season, each sport categorized by season. The barrels are outside by Chris's room. I'd like for everybody to try to participate, bring some cans. It's a competition, so I know we all love to compete, so let's get after it, guys.